MyMac Podcast 960. We don't need no stinking exploits.
Hi everyone and welcome to this week's mighty MyMac Podcast. Well, while we may not want them, we've had them in a long journey that no one saw coming except for the exploiters themselves. They even went to extraordinary lengths to hide what they were doing from everyone. If ever there was a time to patch all of your Apple devices, it would be now. Wouldn't it, Guy?
It certainly would be. If you're on some older version, and we're not just talking about iPhones and iPads, iOS devices, now that the Mac is also on an ARM chip, you want to get onto the latest version of the Mac OS for that as well. Just because reasons that we will go into later on. How are you doing today? How has your week been, Gaz?
My week started off obviously very nicely, thank you very much, because it was New Year, believe it or not. Woohoo! Happy New Year to all of our listeners. Happy New Year to you, Guy. Happy 2024. I hope
Happy New Year, Gaz.
Yeah, I hope 2024 gets over the bad end to 2023 that I had. I might go into that in a little while because I'm not sure many of our listeners will know. But obviously Guy does because I spoke to him last week about it. No, I'm gonna tell you all here. Who cares? Yeah. If some of you are squeamish, you might have to jump forward 10 seconds.
Or if you're squeamish.
Or if you're squeamish, yeah. Anyway, we as usual went out with friends for New Year's Eve. We went to a dinner and dance. Yes, we got all dressed up. The only tech-related thing that occurred to us was all of the people in the group shared photos through a WhatsApp group. That was pretty much it, really. Obviously, the next day, not during the evening, because we're all together there. One of my friends who uses iPhones and iPads, although they do a lot of work because they do a lot of Microsoft training, so they're using Windows at home morely, but he actually he created a movie of previous New Year's Eve photos along with music. It was quite good. I think he enjoyed doing it on his iPad. Yay. Good stuff. I spent some time this week on MyMac having to do some banking because although all of the iOS and mobile apps are good, these are banking apps I'm talking about, they only let you move so much money around in the commercial world, Guy, and it can be a real pain.
It can.
Now, I'm going to jump back to New Year's Eve because normally you don't know just how much dancing I do, Guy. I can be really jumpy on my dancing, and I put some moves out there. Well, this year I was somewhat restricted, as you know.
Really?
As you know, I'm hoping that the remainder after hopefully next week of 2024 will be a little bit better, because if you remember last year I fell off my bike and did my elbow, and I also had a knee injury and I twisted my back. That wasn't bike related, the back thing, but so I'd had a few things, not quite to the same degree that other people are on the MyMac team.
Well, let's not go into that, but
we won't go into that. So you've had a time of it anyway. But
I can't see anything. I'm blind.
That's the wrong eye.
Actually, no, it was the wrong eye. I'm blind.
Even I knew that was the wrong eye.
I know. And it was weird. I put my hand up here and it was like, I can still see.
So before Christmas, I had what is called an acute urinary retention issue. If you want to expand that out, I couldn't pee. You couldn't pee.
Basically.
I couldn't pee. And,
I'm not laughing because of that. It was just because we said it at the same time.
It's fine. And obviously my bladder was filling up, and I ended up actually in A&E the Tuesday before the Christmas. And
so the hospital.
Accident emergency at the hospital. Yeah.
Boy, I bet that cost you a pretty penny.
No, actually, because we've got National Health Service over here. Didn't cost me a thing.
How about that, America?
What it did cost me was a teeny, incy, wincy little pain because I had a catheter inserted. Squeamish.
No, I'm adjusting my hat.
For anybody who hasn't had a catheter fitted, I'm not going to tell you anything, but most of the hospital heard me initially for another reason. But I'll perhaps move on to that another time.
You were saying
anyway,
we.
The reason, yes, we. The reason, obviously, I brought this up with relationship to New Year and the dancing was the catheter had an appendage, and that appendage was a bag which was strapped to my leg because this was hopefully going to be a shorter term extremity that I was owning. But that short term was still going to be 2 or 3 weeks. Anyway, dancing with a bag round strap around your leg.
Which you really don't want to have suddenly come open.
Not when it's filling
slightest.
Up.
No.
Especially when it's pulling. I tell you what, that can get a little bit tweaky as well. Anyway, so I had to keep disappearing during the course of the evening to empty said bag, although there was a little bit of jesting done by my friends. Yes. Insert your joke here now, Guy. And I was talking about obviously filling my drink. They said if they ever see me putting a glass under the table. Yeah, if I see me.
Do you want a beer? Do you want a beer?
Yeah, they wasn't going to accept that drink from me. Anyway, I still have said catheter inserted, and but
it was warm.
English warm beer. That's what I have to put it on the shelf to let it cool down a bit.
Ooh, okay. All right. No, I'm good.
I still have said catheter inserted, and there have been 1 or 2 little issues which I've had to deal with, but that's fine. We've got over it, and hopefully next week I'll be having it taken out on a more permanent basis. Now, the whole reason that I probably had this, we've not had the full explanation yet, but the whole reason we had this was, I'm not sure whether I've told anybody. I think I've said on the podcast that the last 4 years I've been getting an increase in PSA rating. I actually went to the doctors back in 2019 for, I won't say the reasons, that's even more gruesome, the reasons why I went initially. But I had a PSA
that probably cost
rating.
you a lot then too.
No, it didn't cost me a thing. It didn't. We got national health over here. Didn't cost me a thing. Well, it did. It's cost me my national insurance payments since I started work. But I've got to say, the cost of that compared to the cost of where it might be elsewhere in the world was probably somewhat different. Anyway, that aside, because this is not the NHS versus non-NHS podcast. So the PSA rating was going up. I had during the course of 4 years from 2019 till 2023, and here's the real weird bit I'll tell everybody.
Oh, we haven't even gotten to that yet.
No, well, I suppose, yeah, the odd coincidence. Let's put it that way.
Okay. All right.
So over those 4 years, obviously my PSA, not obviously, but my PSA rating was going up and up and up, and I'd had three MRIs, each of which showed absolutely nothing, and but my PSA rating was still going up, which meant basically my prostate was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that may be what caused eventually the acute urinary retention issue, which I had on the Tuesday. Now, the Tuesday was the day after my birthday, and on my birthday, I'd actually gone to the consultant with reference to the previous issue, which I just spoke about, i.e. the PSA increase. And the coincidence was that on the Monday before the Tuesday where I had the issue, the consultant looked at my notes and he looked at me and he went through everything and he went, I'm going to sign you off. He said, there's nothing on the MRIs. You're absolutely clear. And your PSA rating from your last time you came in has actually dropped slightly. So basically, I'm just going to put you on some drug, which is a drug called tamsulosin, which a lot of people may well know about. Basically, it helps with the size of your prostate.
It's also the name of a alien planet on Star Trek.
Great. Why didn't they just call it prostate?
Captain, we're at the prostate planet.
Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway.
No.
Anyway.
No.
Yeah. Who's going down there? Well, not me.
No.
Anyway.
I'm not beaming down there. Screw that noise. Look, it's getting bigger.
Will you let me finish? Anyway,
yes.
On the Monday, I got cleared. And then on the Tuesday, I had this problem.
Everything went to hell. Yeah.
My only statement is perhaps if they'd put me on the tamsulosin a little bit earlier, maybe the Tuesday wouldn't have happened. But there you go. I'm not gonna have a go at them for that. But there you go. So that's been my last 2 weeks.
Certainly not for what you've been paying for it.
No.
I don't even want to tell you. I don't even want to tell you how much I'm paying a month for insurance.
I know you don't. Well, I know you've told me, but you don't want to tell the listeners.
Doesn't bother me at all, Gaz.
I can tell.
Okay. New Year's was relatively a quiet affair with just the wife and I watching silly YouTube videos and various stuff on Apple TV. And I know I've talked about this before, my toe being all messed up. And I've been seeing a podiatrist on that for like the last couple of months. And it's taking like forever to heal. And what my wife is mostly worried about, I don't know if you remember, Gaz, 2 years ago, July, I ended up in the hospital with cellulitis, and that was related to an infection in the same toe. So she's like super paranoid about anything related in that area. So I've been seeing a podiatrist, and I wear this big ass boot. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you. This is what I'm wearing it right now.
So anybody watching the YouTube channel is now going to see Guy's boot. Look at that. It looks like a ski. To a lot of people, it looks like a little bit like a ski boot, So
honestly, it looks like something that RoboCop wore.
Yes.
It looks like I have a RoboCop foot.
Probably a better description.
Yeah, and how useful would a RoboCop foot be if you had nothing else attached to it? One step, ka-thunk. One step, ka-thunk. He's so stealthy.
You could kick indoors easily.
Except the other part of my leg would probably collapse. The foot would be fine, but everything else would be like all compressed up. So anyway, with the messed up toe, it wasn't like I was going to go out dancing anyway. I'm actually talking to my son Peter because every single year he and one of his friends, and once he's married, I don't know how much longer this is going to go on. Once a year, he and his best friend and a couple of other guys get together and they go down and they spend about a week in Orlando going to Universal Studios. And his future wife, to this point, and they've done this for like the last 5 or 6 years, to this point, she's been okay with it. Once they're married, I get the feeling that there will be a few changes.
Not so much.
all of us who have been married, regardless of how long, regardless of whether you're still married or not, know that once you both say I do, you end up saying I don't a lot.
No.
You did before.
What you end up saying is I do. Well, I did.
Yeah, I used to. Not anymore.
Anyway, shall we move?
Yeah, so it was a real quiet.
Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say it was a real quiet New Year's Eve, and I was okay with that.
Cool.
Okay, so
excellent.
Go.
I'll tell you what. Let's jump into Gaz's snippets. Lovely, and it played on time as well.
It did. For now,
it did. Massimo CEO on why he's spending over 100 million to fight Apple. It might change Apple for the better. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, is that what he's saying?
Yeah,
well, I'm sure Tim Sweeney and Epic said the same thing.
That's what the headline's saying. Whether he's saying that, I'm not so sure. But if he is, no one is standing up to them. if I can do it, it might change Apple for the better. Yes, he's saying that. Well, thanks a lot.
What do they even make?
It's this, I can't remember. It's this medical stuff, isn't it? Yeah, it's a medical device.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The blood
because they do in the blood thing.
Sensor
Yeah, blood
thing.
oxygen. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Anyway.
so that'll make Apple a lot better. Sure it will. Go ahead.
Apparently, the US antitrust case against Apple's App Store exclusivity is firing on all cylinders, apparently. The US antitrust case against Apple's App Store exclusivity is firing on all cylinders, according to the head of the Department of Justice unit responsible for policing breaches of competition law. We shall see what happens there. Apple TV Plus apparently has renewed the highly acclaimed Slow Horses, which I still haven't started yet because we're going through lots of other stuff. Traitors UK has recently got a new series in the UK, so we've been binging on that as well.
I'm still on season 1.
Apparently, the Slow Horses, it's out for season 5. I've not even watched season 3 yet.
I haven't even finished 1.
I don't think we're on 4, are we? It's recently 3 that's been released, I think. I think so. I don't think it's season 4 that's just been released. Yeah, season 3, I think.
But I am all caught up on Star Trek Lower Decks, so I know you were worried about that.
Yeah, I always worry about that. How Apple Watch helped a Delaware student call for help after carbon monoxide poisoning. There's a story about a Delaware student who says her Apple Watch helped her save her life after she passed out from carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, I haven't got into this story too in depth in terms of I don't know whether it was actually asking her questions. Are you awake? You're not. It's what are you
when she doesn't answer, it's like,
I assume that she might well have fallen over or something and it started asking. But if it's not and it's some other process, then Apple are becoming a better company and looking after you. There you go. Apple again opposes proposed UK surveillance powers through trade body. Apple last year described the proposed new UK surveillance powers as a serious and direct threat to data security and information privacy. Really, Apple? Really?
Yeah, I think we may have something to say about that in a little bit.
I think we might have something to say about that in the second section.
Yeah, maybe.
It has repeated its opposition to the proposed legal changes to the Tech UK trade body, so we'll see how that goes. Apple's crash detection feature, again praised by first responders, despite false alarms. In Lake Pleasant, Arizona, the Apple Watch crash detection feature is being credited with helping emergency authorities locate a man after he was involved in an early morning car accident. There you go. So...
Damn it. I actually have a car accident sound effect and I couldn't find it.
You couldn't find it quick enough, could you? Yeah. You see? But that's the niceness of this particular section. I can keep you on guard. Apple has lost some $370 billion in the market value so far in 2024. They are on a bit of a downward trend at the moment. I've got a few other stories going on that. Killers of the Flower Moon premieres on Apple TV Plus on January 12th. So if you want to sit and watch, I don't know how long it is. It's supposed to be
like really 3 hours.
Masterpiece. But anyway,
I'm sorry. Before you move on from this, there's a lot of movies I watch that are really, really well shot and I love them. However, if it's a movie that says based on real events, I usually go click because honestly, I want to be entertained.
Let me just, too late. I've just got to click because if I've not got it in my, no, I haven't. So in the UK, we've got a TV series which has just come through, which is called, what's his name now? Mr. something. Versus the Post Office. Mr.
Good old Mr.
I've got to find
something.
Anyway, I'll come back to it at the end. But a lot of people in the UK will have heard of it. But basically, the post office have been really nasty. They had a new system installed into their new computer system installed into their post office counters many, many years ago. And it basically was either being manipulated or was basically crap and was wrong and was people. Some of these post office masters were actually putting their own money in to make up for the shortfall that it was telling them that they were on. One person actually committed suicide, and many others lost their, loads of money and the stores that they were working in, because very often these post office counters are part of a bigger store in like a rural area. Anyway, there's a big hoo-ha in the UK about it because it's suddenly come to the fore. Now, I've actually known about this for some time, listened to a podcast, but this was a TV series based on real events, and it's really good, guys. So I know what you're saying, but actually some of them can be really good. So don't always switch off. Give it a chance.
I did watch all the Blackadders. So, and
they are based on on real people, real events. Yes.
Yeah. Well, real events. Okay. Never mind.
Tamagotchi Adventure Kingdom and Corn Sweeper launch on Apple Arcade. I put that in there because that's a press release from Apple.
What was it? Corn Sweeper?
Corn Sweeper. Yeah. It was more the Tamagotchi that caught my eye because.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting there and thinking, God, I'm bored. I'd like to sweep some corn.
I'm not sure that's the premise of the game, but maybe.
Yeah.
Apple stock gets slammed at the start of the new year. Fallen 5.9% over the first 3 trading days of 2024. So, they're taking a bit of a hit early doors. This I quite liked. Clicks, this is a company, I believe. I think it's a UK company as well. Pretty sure. Adds a physical keyboard to your iPhone with shortcuts and backlighting. The iPhone is the device that pushed the mobile industry away from physical keyboards, but nothing can truly replace that tactile experience. Launching next month, Clicks aims to add a physical keyboard to your iPhone with support for keyboard shortcuts and backlighting too. Basically, the key, it's like it makes your phone a third of the size again, top to bottom. Yeah, I'll put this link into Gazzy's link or something.
Well, and thank goodness that they've done this because no one has ever done this before, ever, never.
It looks awful.
Those companies that have never done this before, where are they today?
Yeah. Don't know. Apple has stopped signing iOS 17.2. Downgrading is no longer possible, just so you know. Apple settles a lawsuit after being accused of benefiting from gift card scam. Apple this week agreed to settle a lawsuit over its gift cards that was filed in 2020. More specifically, the company has been accused of not helping victims of a scam involving its prepaid gift cards. Apple has now reached an agreement with the plaintiffs after working with a mediator. Good for them. Apple Card savings interest rate gets a second boost in a fortnight. We mentioned this last time, I believe, and it's now gone up to 4.35%. I think it was 4.25 previously.
I just moved about $5,000 into my Apple savings account.
Oh, well, there you go. And Microsoft are poised to overtake Apple as the world's most valuable company. Now valued at $2.73 trillion, Microsoft is worth about $100 billion less than Apple, which is valued at $2.83 trillion. Apple hasn't been worth less than Microsoft since a 14-session stretch that ended November 17, 2021. And the market cap gap hasn't been this small since November 22, 2021. So we'll see whether Apple will bounce back after their drop, because that's often what happens. So they might suddenly disappear into the ether, and Microsoft might be going, oh, we catch it. Oh, no, they've gone. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Apple CEO Tim Cook is to meet the EU and Apple CEO Tim Cook is to meet the EU antitrust chief next week. I'm not quite sure what. Fight.
That's how we'll settle it. A WWE cage match.
I wasn't going to put this one in, but then I went back to the article and I did star it because I thought I'd like to hear your reaction.
Okay. Oh, this should be good.
Is Apple phasing out the Mac Pro? For everybody who's not watching this, Guy's look of what? I think he basically wants to slap
do they
somebody
even
around the head.
have an M series Mac Pro? Do they even have one?
I'm not sure they do at this point in time. But
okay,
let me ask the question. Because the reason I went, the reason I don't think they do, the reason I went back to it was because I thought, look, we've been saying this, and news articles have been saying this for about the last 15 years, to be perfectly honest with you. And let's wait and see, because Apple will tell us when it's phased out the Mac Pro.
There is a Mac Pro.
There is a Mac Pro. I know there's a Mac Pro.
M2 Ultra.
Oh, cool. Apple Music has
crap.
Has now fixed
hold on a second. Up to almost 200 gigs of memory, up to 22 streams of 8K ProRes video playback, and will support up to 8 displays. And the good news is, let's see. I'm going to hit buy. Let's see what the price range is for this puppy. Well, it starts at about $7,000 unless you want the rack version, which goes for about $7,500, and it goes up to, are you freaking kidding me?
That's a good price if you can get it for that.
It is. Oh, yeah. Sure it is.
Apple Music has basically fixed a glitch which was around their add the playlist songs. Now, I wasn't aware of this glitch, not heard about it, but if you were afflicted by this, then apparently they have fixed it. And Apple has started sending Batterygate settlement payments to iPhone users. I don't think this is the same one that I talked to earlier.
Is that the French one, or was that somewhere else?
No. This was in a lawsuit in the US. Apple in 2020 agreed to pay up to $500 million to settle a class action lawsuit in the US that accused the company of secretly throttling some iPhone models. So they're paying out lots of money at the moment. And that whole lawsuit, I think Apple just considered it a nuisance, which is why they went ahead and paid it. But if anybody with an ounce of sense that knew anything about tech heard Apple's explanation as to why they did it, did they do it? Yes. Did they have a really good reason? Yes. Do lawyers and their idiot clients care? No. Sorry, go ahead. Well, that was the last one, but I just had another one pop up, which is just careful.
Edit point. I've got to remember edit point. Oh my God.
Anyway, just to confirm, Apple are sending out $92 to the iPhone users affected by Batterygate following. So there you go. That, including the edit point, is the end of Gass's snippets. Now I do have
right around the 39-minute mark. I've got to
write it down. So I'm
going to write that down because I will forget.
Now, with reference to the Royal Mail thing and the issue that they had with a software company and the software not working, I've got a Gass's link, which is basically saying expert sounds alarm bells over the upcoming NHS data platform. Think Horizon, and that's related to the post office thing in the UK. So I do hope that those alarm bells find any issues and they get it sorted before basically all of our health data is then farmed out to anybody who wants it. That's the end of Gass's link.
Okay. Going on to I guess the main topic for this week, and it's, we like to use a lot of levity. If you haven't noticed, Gaz, we use a lot of levity in this show, even with serious topics. This one does not really lend itself very well. Too much. I mean, we'll find something to laugh about in here, but for the most part, this is a pretty serious topic. And the way I've got it labeled here is, so have you been exploited? And the answer to that question is, who knows? If Apple does, they aren't sane. To get a handle on this, we kind of have to jump into the Wayback Machine and go back to a bit of code related to TrueType fonts. TrueType fonts, Gaz, that's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. However, even before that gets exploited, they send a message through iMessage that you never even see. Some of the security firm's Kaspersky's own researchers' iPhones became infected, which is how they found out about it in the first place. So the people that created this exploit, all right, first little funny bit here. If you don't want people to know that you have an exploit that exploits people's iPhones, don't put it on Kaspersky's own iPhones, because they'll look at it and go, we should look at this. We should really look at this, which is what they did. They even gave it a cute name, Gaz, Operation Triangulation. It sounds like one of those bad World War II, 1960s comedies. Wackiest ship in the army and all the rest of that. Anyway, Kaspersky spent 12 months researching where it came from and how it worked. And because I am not at all qualified to understand most of what I'm going to tell you, we're going to use Kaspersky's own explanation of the chain of events. And I've actually taken some out of it to try to, I don't want to say dumb it down, but essentially that's what I did. I've dumbed it down just a little bit and took out the parts where people would just go, huh? Mostly. So here's the way it all goes down. Attackers send a malicious iMessage attachment, which is processed by the application, by iMessage, without showing any signs at all to the end user. So this attachment then exploits vulnerability, and this is a recent name. Who knows how long it's actually been in iOS. CVE-2023-41990 in an undocumented Apple-only TrueType font instruction, which adjusts for a remote code execution, which has now been patched. That's part of the patches that we got in the recent update. It uses returned jump-oriented programming. I have no idea what that means, and I could not figure out a way to explain it. However, it goes into multiple stages written, and here we go, NSE expression / NSI predicate query language. Did you get that, Gaz?
Yeah, it's NS predicate.
Yes.
NSI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That's the other thing. Patching JavaScript core library environments to execute a privileged escalation. Thank you. Words are hard. Escalation exploit written in JavaScript. The fun never starts. This JavaScript exploit is, what is that word?
Obfuscated.
Sure.
Obfuscated.
What Gaz just said, to make it completely unreadable and to minimize its size. And even with that, it still has about 11,000 lines of code, which is mainly dedicated to JavaScript core and kernel memory parsing and manipulation. Once exploited, JavaScript's core debugging feature is used to get the ability to manipulate JavaScript core's memory to execute native API functions. These API functions for the most part, are ones that Apple has never released or talked about, which is part of the reason why the conspiracy that we're going to talk about in a little bit is currently active. Now, it was also designed to support, and, you know, gotta love a company that supports not just the new stuff, but the old stuff too. Old and new iPhones, and includes a bypass for the exploitation of newer models. So I guess the newer models actually get something extra.
Yeah, I think this covered basically A12 to A16 chips, Guy.
Yes.
But we'll discuss that further later as well.
Maybe if we understood it, we would discuss it further. It used an integer overflow vulnerability named CVE 2023-32434 to get read-write access to the whole physical memory of the device from the user level. It then uses hardware memory mapped registers to bypass the page protection layer. This was mitigated as, wait for it, CVE 2023-38606. Now, after exploiting all of those vulnerabilities, you'd think at this point your phone would just be like melting in your hand. But no, Gaz, the JavaScript exploit can do whatever it wants to do with the device and run spyware. However, the attackers chose to inject a payload that clears the exploitation artifacts from the device and then runs a Safari process in, why it has this, I don't know, invisible mode, and forwards it to a web page with the next stage. So they're being very crafty here, and they're trying to make it so that it's almost impossible to find. Now, this Safari web page has the script that verifies the victim's end. Wait, that doesn't even make any sense.
Verifies the victim.
Verifies the victim. Oh, and
yeah,
it sucks having one eye sometimes. Verifies the victim's. That makes much more sense than verifies the victim's end, because it'd be like, yeah, he's got one. Way to go. Verifies the victim and if it checks out,
if the checks pass,
it receives the next stage, the Safari exploit. The Safari exploit uses vulnerability, wait for it, CVE 2023-32435, and you're all writing this down, I'm sure, as we're going through this, to execute a shell code which executes another kernel exploit in the form of a mock object file. It uses the same vulnerability, CVE 2023-32434, and CVE 2023-38606, but it's massive in size and functionality, but it's completely different from the kernel exploit written in JavaScript. Only some parts related to exploitation of the above-mentioned vulnerabilities, and I won't go through those again, are the same. Still, most of the code is also dedicated to parsing and manipulation of the kernel memory. It has various post-exploitation utilities, which are mostly unused. The exploit gets, and this is the part that's super scary, if you're not afraid already, the exploit gets root privileges, which is something that most users don't even have, and proceeds to execute other stages responsible for the loading of spyware. That's Kaspersky's, no, damn it.
Why are you going to Cornwall for your pasties?
I don't know. I should. Kaspersky's explanation.
That's better.
That's better for how all that worked. Now, Apple, other than patching the vulnerabilities that are now known, has said little to nothing on this, which in security circles has given them a big black eye. While we're all very appreciative of the patches, Apple, it would be nice to know if there was a tool that we could have used to find out whether we'd already been infected so that appropriate measures could have been taken. But they didn't. They just patched it and said,
well, hang on a minute.
0 day, 0 day.
Yeah, hang on a minute. They haven't yet. Because this has all come out, as you said at the start, relatively recently.
Yeah.
So
it's like December 26th, I think, is when this broke.
Yeah. However, so I'll let you carry on.
Okay, so some have said that Apple, now we're getting into conspiracy theories. So if you have a tinfoil hat at your house, this is the point when you put it on top of your head. And honestly, for the sake of the video, I wish I had one because I would have just put it on. Now, some have said that Apple themselves, along with the U.S. spy agency, the NSA, National Security Agency, may have been involved in creating the exploits since they used APIs mostly unknown outside of Apple's circle. But the counter argument could be made that former or disgruntled employees, and what exactly would a gruntled employee look like? But that's a subject for another day, that knew of the vulnerabilities that could have been working with whoever created the mess in the first place. Apparently, as the story goes, the NSA, tinfoil hat, wanted to use the exploit for iPhones in diplomatic missions of various countries, and Russia's own spy agency, which has just the utmost of credibility, the FSB. And for some reason, Gaz, the FSB stands for Federal Security Service. I don't know why. Has accused Apple of cooperating with the NSA in this. Apple, of course, has denied it, which makes conspiracy theorists even more convinced that it's true. And this is actually one of those things where it's a damned if you do and damned if you don't. If they had remained completely silent, they would have been like, they must be involved because they haven't said anything. But because they came out and said, we're not involved, they're covering their asses. So, it's like, it doesn't matter what they do. Conspiracy theorists will conspiracy theorist. Unless Apple actually breaks their silence on this matter with more details, we may never know exactly what their role, if any, was in on this.
Now,
so, yeah.
Interestingly, very recently, within the last few months, a certain country, Russia, and another certain country, China, have both done what? So how long have they known about it? They have both asked all of their reports to stop using iPhones in a business
and that
context.
Was months ago.
Correct. So whether someone in Russia and or China or someone outside has given them the nod to say that there is this vulnerability available to certain parties, because obviously the NSA aren't going to say whether they've got that vulnerability available to them.
Imagine the NSA calling the FSB and going, sorry, we created this exploit that's going to allow us to listen in on all of your diplomats. Now we promise.
Now the thing is,
cross our hearts.
This is a hardware issue which is enabled by a certain software process. Now, I, like you, do not understand the full details of it. There is a podcast, which is Security Now, and it's the most recent one, which is with Steve Gibson, which is Security Now number 955. And the real meat of this starts at about 35 minutes in to the podcast.
And make sure you go to the 35-minute mark.
It's about an hour and 10 minutes or so long after that. So there's quite a lot of detail, but I found it really quite interesting. Now, the thing is, the interesting thing that Steve Gibson, who gets a lot of kudos around the security world, did say towards the end, which I found, it made me smile a little bit. And that was, if I was going to write a backdoor, this is how I'd write it. And I thought, stab him in the back, So he's partially convinced, if you listen to the podcast, and this is my view on what he said, I think he's partially convinced that there is some knowledge about this. possibly within Apple
within
Circle.
the halls of Apple. Yeah.
And that could be an absolute game changer if that is the case and that truth comes out. Boy, oh boy, will the doobie doos hit the fan if that happens.
Is that what you call them?
Well, for the sake of the podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
So we shall have to see how this goes forward. But I've got a feeling that this is going to run for a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of heat. And maybe some of Apple's drop in share price is because there may be some of those people who have an idea about this security piece and how it could affect them moving forward if they turn out that they are not the security company that everybody wants them to be, because that's what they're saying they are. Anyway, go and listen to that Security Now episode. Quite long, but go to 35 minutes in. It's quite interesting. And we don't know. We absolutely don't know. What was clear from the end of it, though, was that it affected the A12 to A16 chips.
Yes.
But, and it ended on this, how do we know that there's not something that's written in there now? Because unless a security firm goes in and is able to find that they've been hit in this way, because basically Kaspersky backrouted it. They got hit and they had to find how that security breach occurred. So they didn't know about it. They found out about it and then had to backtrack on it, which is probably how it has to happen in most cases anyway. Interesting, really interesting.
Agreed.
He's nodding his head, folks.
I am.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip. Right. This one, what were you going to say?
Nothing. I was just because you have like in the recording of the Gaz's tip song at the very end, you can hear. So that's what I was kind of emulating.
Oh, that's what you were emulating, the sharp intake of breath. Yeah. Okay.
But Apple, it won't allow an exploit to this podcast.
Now, this one's a very quick one, and you may not find it useful, folks. I do find it useful in areas. Sorry, the light's kicking out a bit. Now, when you go into iCloud Notes, there are folders which has each of the notes in. So you've got one. I've got one which says all iCloud. Then I've got notes. Then I've got a few others for different areas of notes that I want to be able to easily find. So if I click on one of those note folders, I would possibly occasionally like to put some more folders in it. Now you can create subfolders, Guy. If you click on the folder, you can't do this in iOS, but it will show on your iOS device, I believe. Pretty sure.
So it has to be done on the Mac.
But it has to be done on the Mac. And what you do is you click on the folder and then you right click or double click on that folder and it says new folder. Now, you may think, oh, I don't want a new folder. I want a subfolder. That actually creates a subfolder. So when you click on a folder and then you click on new folder, you get a subfolder which appears within that folder itself. And there you could create a subfolder for any amount. You can create up to about 6 subfolders, but you could create obviously a load of subfolders in each of your different folders that you've got. That's if you use Notes a lot and you would like to have those subfolders. Word of warning though, if you delete the top folder with a group of subfolders which are nested below it, it will also delete all those subfolders and everything in it as well. So just be careful. So obviously you can create.
It's a conspiracy.
This is going to go on and on and on. This, isn't it? Anyway.
I love this. This like works for me so well.
So that's the end of Gaz's tip.
It is.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz's tips. Gaz, you are absolutely right.
You messed up the timing of it.
I did completely messed up.
Well, you know what that gets you. That's what
Yeah,
that gets you,
thanks.
is that right there. Now,
Thanks.
we don't. Do you have a pick? I don't have a pick.
I don't have a pick. No.
Okay, well then, we're going to go right over to podcast feedback. Remember, if you've done an iTunes review or a review on whatever your podcatcher of choice is, and we've spoken on the show about it, you will need to send me, Guy, an email to get your Woody. Now, you may be asking yourself, whoops, don't hit the microphone, Guy. That's really, really bad. You may be asking yourself, where is that beautiful house? Where is... No. You may be asking yourself...
I was thinking exactly the same thing there.
I know. Talking Heads fans, we're a weird bunch. How do you get a Woody, and what exactly is a Woody? A Woody, if you don't already know, is a big W, big O, big T, little I, little E, exclamation mark. That's a Woody.
Yeah.
And almost any kind of feedback.
Right.
No, we don't have any feedback. None.
Oh, right. I thought you were building up to some feedback there.
I really wish I was, but we don't have any. But whatever kind of feedback that you send us, if it is your first time for sending us feedback, you will get a Woo T.
Yeah,
if you'd like to help, go ahead.
We're like many insurance companies. This discount of a Wooty only appeals to first timers.
First time only. Unless, but you can get Wooties for doing different things. So if you perform
you're changing the rules now.
No, I've got like 3 or 4 different kinds of Wooties.
Okay.
Am I going to tell you what they are?
No.
No.
Hang on a minute, Steve. Is he going to tell us what they are?
No.
Exactly. Thank you, Steve. So glad he chimed in. If you'd like to help support the show, you can do so very easily, by going to Patreon, patreon.com/MacBedit. You can also support us by buying a coffee at ko-fi.com/MacBarrett, or you can pay a pal at paypal.me/MacBedit. Now, Gaz, if people wanted to contact you and say, is there some kind of website where I can buy a pre-made tinfoil hat, how would they do so?
Ever so easy, Guy. Ever so easy. Send an email to Gaz, G-A-Z, at mymac.com. You can also follow me on all of the socials under Gazmaz, G-A-Z-M-A-Z. Under Mastodon, it's G-A-Z-M-A-Z at C.I-M. But I'm on
Mars.
X. No. I'm on Mars. I'm on Mastodon. I'm on Counter Social. I'm on Threads. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Though I don't think you can find me as Gazmaz in the Facebook. Maybe not. Anyway, you can also send on X's a tweet. Do they still call them tweets? I don't know. X's. You can X us on X. Both Guy and myself to Guy and Gaz. That's GYANDGAZ.
Cars.
You can also send an email to feedback at mymac.com, FWDBACK at mymac.com.
His name was Guy.
Oh.
He's the guy.
Guy's the one. Guy.
Guy?
You remember Guy?
Wait, hold on. I screwed up.
Guy says...
Guy was paid his 75 grand.
No.
Do we know it was a guy?
We do.
I like to go with Guy.
My guy?
So Guy.
I think Guy's like a symbol.
This is your classic guy line.
Guy, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Blue guy.
A non-toxic guy.
I'm here with Guy.
That's me.
The guy.
Who are you, really?
Guy. My name is Guy.
I know that guy.
Him, right there. Get up.
No fooling.
Oh.
Thank
God I don't hold my breath when you do that sometimes.
If you want,
I'd be dead.
An email from Guy.
how would they do it?
Go to your email client of choice and type in at mymac.com. And that email will go to me, of course. I am also. I'm also Mac Parrot and Vert Shark. Over on the X Twitters, I have Mac Parrot on Counter Social, and also Mac Parrot over there on the Mastodons, mastodon.social. There is vertshark.com, which I'm slowly but surely finally getting everything caught up. I think I'm in the early 950s right now as far as the videos go, and I actually need to edit like the last 3 MyMac.com videos, but I'm a lazy POS. But I will get to it. I swear to God I will. And Gaz, if they wanted to call us and say, yes, Guy, you are a lazy POS, what would that phone number be?
Oh, it's a real good one, Guy. A real good one. It's 703-828-4677. One more time, 703-828-4677 with no funny business.
Did you say 703-828-4677, Gaz?
I did.
Yeah. Sorry, ripping that bit off from the Mac Geek Gab. I would like to say thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you who downloads and listens to the MyMac.com podcast. It is really, honestly, greatly appreciated that you're still doing so for however long you've been doing.
Please stop,
that.
then we can.
Yeah. Or download it twice. We don't care.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
Either stop or do it twice. Gaz, I think
on different devices.
Oh yeah. With different accounts, because it all goes to the same place, baby.
It helps
Gaz,
the sponsors.
Oh yeah, because they're lining up. They're lining up to get behind this podcast. Yeah. Anyone who's listening, if you belong to a company and you want to sponsor the MyMac.com podcast, we would like that.
Good. Yeah. Just try it and see what happens.
Yeah. No, we'll be really good. We'll be so good as long as you don't try to have us sell some kind of crap product. If it's a decent product, we'll sing its praises to the hilt. If it's a crap product, we'll be like, yeah, they're sponsoring us, but, you know, it's a crap product.
Don't buy it.
Yeah, don't buy it. And this will also be the last week that company sponsors the MyMac.com podcast. So on that note, I think that we're good enough, Gaz. And considering this week's topic, I think that we're smart enough, even though we didn't understand half of it. And that Wilf Garnet, that amazing pup, woof, Wilf, woof, woof, Wilf. Where did he go? Where did he go? People woof like us. Woof.
Guy, my wife thinks it's odd that I keep staring at the windows. Well, if she'd just let me in the house, I wouldn't have to.
Didn't see that coming. Thanks for downloading and listening to the MyMac Podcast. You can also hear other great podcasts on the MyMac Podcasting Network, like the Tech Fan Podcast, Three Geeky Ladies, Geekiest Show Ever, the Let's Talk Podcast, Essential Apple Podcast, and the Club PlayStation and Club Nintendo Podcasts. Come on. I can't tell which eye is which in the recording. It's like it actually popped out earlier. I was telling Tracy. Yeah, well, I was telling Tracy it felt like there was like a lot of liquid behind it.
Right.
And she was like, well, why don't you just take it out? And I said, I don't want to do that. And it just went bloop. It was, oh, well, okay. I guess the decision has now been made for me.
And then did you play table tennis with it?
No, I just cleaned it up and put it back in. I'll have to show you how that works sometime. I bet you're looking forward to that.
I am. Shall I show you I'll show you my tap. Bet you're looking forward to that.
I'm not looking forward to that at all. Sorry. Just the thought of it makes me kind of go, ugh. MyMac Podcast 960. We don't need no stinking exploits. Oh, come on, glasses. Stupid glasses. and the thing is, as I'm looking in the image here for my camera, because it's like mirrored from what I expect it to be, I keep making, I'll change it this way. It's like, oh, good. Now it's worse. So, because I'm looking at it in the wrong direction.
Anyway, we can discuss
Shocker.
it when we get there. We can discuss it when we get there. So let me get this intro.
Yeah, well, and I actually kind of go into it a little bit.
Good, great, brilliant. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's mighty MyMac.
Apple needs you're using continuity, aren't you?
Yeah.
I can tell because as you move around a little bit, it's moving with you.
Right. So I can probably take that off. I've taken that off. So is it moving around now?
No.
Right.
But one thing I really hope that they add in the next version is a zoom feature.
Yeah.
That would sync it completely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was center stage that I was using there, you see.
Yeah.
What's desk view? Oh, I don't want desk view. Oh, that was stupid, wasn't it? Thank you. Right. Okay. Right. Hi, everyone. I can't hear.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I copied, and I don't care. I copied the entire Kaspersky thing. Kaspersky.
Yeah.
What the F is the name of that company?
You said it then.
Kaspersky? Okay.
Kaspersky.
And then I basically took some of it out and tried to make it so that it was a little more intelligible for.
I was here when you was telling the people on the podcast.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd say it again.
Cool.
What I do.
Good.
Repeat the same jokes over and over again. Way to go, Guy.
Yeah.
Guy! Yeah, he does it so much better than I do.